OBS is getting connected to YouTube Studio. हाँ हो गया connect. Now I'm clicking go live. All right, so we are live now. And hey everyone, thanks a lot for joining in the very first episode of Hack It with Sid. And as you already know, we are here with Shivay Lamba. We are going to talk about the true essence of hacker mindset and experience. So first of all, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, and thanks once again for joining us today. And we are going to have multiple level of discussion today because we have thought about various perspective of a hacker. We will not generally talk about hackathons today, but we will also focus on the hacker perspective, the hacker mindset, the experience from a hacker, and what are different problems with hacker can face, how to overcome them, what are those good level of hacker, what how can you become one, and various other ways. Along with that, we'll also be answering any of your questions from the live chat, so if in case you have any, feel free to drop them down over there. And maybe we can start with a general introduction, Shivai. So maybe you can
Absolutely.
introduce yourself.
Sure. So first of all, a very warm thanks to you, Siddharth, and I'm really excited for the series as well. And it's really honorable to become the first guest speaker at this series. So first of all, a very big thanks for that. But anyways, I'll not waste a lot of time. So I'm Shivai. I am currently a Google Source Code mentor, and previously most of my experiences during my childhood and during growing up have always been related to some kind of technology. During my childhood also I was having a few programming experiences, and coming into college I took an undergrad degree in computer science, and I started participating in hackathons. And hackathons has been one of the closest things to, at least to my personal journey growing up during my college time. And at least for the past couple of years, I don't believe that there was one single weekend where I might have not participated in a hackathon, in either, like, let's say, as a hacker or as a mentor or as a judge. So that has been my close alliance with hackathons. I've probably been involved with more than 70, 80 plus hackathons at this point of time, as all of these different things, as a speaker or participant. And that really motivated me to also grow as a person. And again, that is what I'm going to be sharing here today with you and with everyone who is watching the live stream.
Awesome. So that was a wonderful piece of introduction. Thanks a lot, Shiva, for introducing yourself. And I can see people are facing some difficulties in, they are not able to see proper video stream. They are saying they like the screen is freezed, but I'm sure they are able to hear us loud and clear. So if that's the case, please let us know in the chat. Maybe there might be some network issue due to which the
Yeah.
video is getting freezed, but definitely what more important is that you are able to hear us loud and clear. So Thanks a lot for letting me know that in the live chat. And I'll introduce myself as well right now. So this is Siddharth Dayalwal. I'm running this YouTube channel, or you might already know. And I'm a pre-final year computer science engineering
Yeah,
student from Vadodara, Gujarat. And I'm also a community development intern at Savo Labs. I was a former community intern at ProGate. Currently, I got accepted in the GitHub Campus Expert program. I'm also Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador and an AngelHack Student Ambassador. Along with that, I try to keep myself busy with all stuffs of hackathon and community work. I try to engage more with those areas and try to help my community members in any way possible, be it by hosting events, be it by creating content, be it by any other way. So today you are in one of my content creation section, which is Hack It with Sid, which is a discussion come podcast series. We will have this every Saturday at 6 p.m. onwards. So feel free to join in, every time. And let's start with today's Hack It with Sid session. What do you think, Shiva? Should we?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There's no time to waste. I've been honestly waiting for the past 1 week to just be, involved with this. So yeah, I'm super excited.
Definitely, it was like similar situation for me as well. I was also super excited.
Yeah.
So yes, for all the viewers watching us right now, feel free to introduce yourself as well in the live chat, and we would love to know more about you. And till that time, let's talk about what actually a hacker is. What Let's talk about a hackathon perspective. What can a hacker be defined as? What do you think, Shivay, on that?
Yeah. Absolutely. So see, as and this is probably just my personal opinion on this matter, is that initially when I started out, I didn't really know what exactly is a hackathon or what is a hacker, because my friends used to say like, "Hey, I'm participating at hackathons," and I used to see all of these different advertisements become, "Hey, welcome hackers, participate at this hackathon." So I used to believe, like, as with everyone, I used to think that a hacker is something that is related to the cybersecurity part of it, right? That you are trying to make things that are related to hacking, right? Like the hacking in general, that's what people conceive. So that was probably my mindset as well, until I actually first went and had that first ever hackathon experience. And of course, after having gone through that experiment, like experience over the next couple of months, 3 months, having participated in a lot of different hackathons, the mindset of a hackathon, or like a hacker in general, was something that I was able to figure out it finally after having like months of confusion about what exactly is a hacker. So I would, in a nutshell, I would like to describe a hacker as a person who is enthusiastic about solving a particular problem. They try to be ad hoc in their approach towards solving a particular problem, and at the same time they also have to be very creative and spontaneous into doing something. And probably the two major adjectives that describe a true hacker is enthusiastic and always learning and creative. Like I said, three. So basically, and I like to also break it down to why I chose these adjectives, right? So the first one is creative, because you have to be very creative in your approach. You have to be creative in what ideas are you thinking, right? And then you have to be very like, you have to always have that mindset of learning, because if the day, like you start thinking that you know everything, that is the day of doom, right, for you. So always have that feeling that you might learn something new from someone else or from some other resource. So if you have these two mindsets in mind, right, that you always are keen to learn, you're always enthusiastic, always creative, these are the things that truly define a true hacker. And again, the idea why I'm talking about all of these is that you need to bring out innovative solutions. You are the person who is representing yourself and trying to make innovative solutions to solve the problems of the world. So all of these different things combined together make what I believe is to be the hacker mindset.
Absolutely, that's like a great piece of advice, and summarizing each and every points on particularly what hacker is, what is the hacker mindset, what are the things which a hacker can do, what actually a hacker is, and then
Yeah,
considering all these points, I feel that anyone who were ambiguous about the term hacker while participating in the hackathon for the very first time, they might got the straight and clear
yeah,
answer to that as well. So thanks a lot, Shivay, for adding that up. And for me, like, it is more important for a hacker to understand that you are the person who can change the world into something else. You can make this world a better place to live by just working on your skill sets and making some awesome projects out there, solving some real world problems, solving the shared struggles of our society. And a hacker have that power right now in this today's world, because
Absolutely.
there are like
Yeah.
multiple hackathons happening each weekend, right? And when a hacker chooses to participate in a hackathon, they not only go over there to just be a part of such an awesome community, but at the end of the day they also decide to solve a real world problem just to help others at the same time. And that is one of the best decisions which a hacker can take. And definitely a huge shout out to all the hackers participating every weekend to some different hackathons, coming up with some awesome project ideas. So thanks a lot to everyone. So Shivai,
Yeah, and
when
like you raised a very good point.
yes.
Yeah, you actually raised a very good point with regards to being able to understand. So as a hacker, you're not just going there and solving a particular problem. You also need to truly understand what that problem signifies. So you have to be empathetic, right? That to be able to truly understand what is the crux of the problem and finding out solutions for that. So I think that is a pretty important skill to have as a hacker, to be empathetic towards the problem that you are trying to solve and be very open towards trying out different things to be able to actually solve that. So that
Absolutely.
made perfect sense.
That's a great point, I would say. And also, like, talking about everything related to hacker, what is the mindset? Let's talk about how we personally were, on the verge of becoming a hacker. What was that one situation which made you turn into a hacker
Yeah,
from a normal person? So I would love to know more about your story.
sure, absolutely. So as I've already repeated that, I personally didn't know what exactly is a hacker. I was just one of those another, students going to college and trying to solve, some data structures algorithm problems, making some personal projects, having worked on an internship, a couple of internships before, actually participating in a hackathon for the first time. So for me, life was pretty normal, but what I and the time when I actually realized that this is something that had changed me and I grew onto that hacker mindset was not in my first hackathon, but it actually did take me a couple of other experiences. And the moment when I actually realized that was that when I came up with a very unique solution, right, and people actually acknowledging that. So earlier, initially, like I had been able to think of some unique solutions and having won at hackathons as well. That was a completely different story. But what truly inspired was people coming in, other other participants coming in and say like, hey, I mean that was a really good idea. So that is where I felt that I have it what to I've sort of grown into that mindset where I'm not just thinking about building a solution, but I am putting in a lot of effort and a lot of time to truly understand what that particular problem statement is all about and how can I make it more accessible to others as well, right? Not just
Correct.
thinking about, okay, hey, I have to make a website. I'll quickly just make a machine learning model and deploy it and use it. So not just thinking about the solution, but also being more spending a lot more time into refining the idea, but also thinking about how can it affect more number of people in general, right? So that is where I
Correct.
felt that I truly gained that experience of being a hacker mindset, right? Having that hacker mindset.
Wow, that's a wonderful
And I mean,
story.
like, I would love to know for yours as well. So that
Sure thing. I would love to share that.
I would
And
love to know your experience as well.
definitely. So that was a great story. I can relate with that as well, because I still remember when I was in my very first year, I was very ambiguous about the same. The word hacker, hackathon, what is it, and what do people do by attending those events? And I was like very much curious to know about the same,
Yeah,
and just thought of just participating, go and participating, because unless and until I won't explore what the thing is, I won't be able to get that enough experience, right? So straight away I registered for the very nearest
yeah,
hackathon happening to my city, and I went, just went without any preparation, without knowing what it is. I did some research work beforehand, but what sees online, definitely the thing you see in person is different, right? So that was the thing at the same time. And then I realized
Absolutely.
when people were talking like some different stuffs, talking about some high technologies, at that moment of time I was very fresher kind of a person. I wasn't aware about any coding languages, programming, or anything else as well. So that was something very new for me, that people were just coding something, they were coming up with some different solutions to some problems, and I was very much curious. So what I did was I started interacting with those people, started interacting with the team members, other team people, and then I later realized that okay, this is the stuff, this is the drill which a hacker goes through. And there were different mentors, different judges coming one by
Yeah.
one. I was interacting with them, so I got a lot of insights. And I believe that anyone who is starting something new should have an observant mindset, because unless and until you won't observe your surrounding, unless and until you won't learn from others at the same time, you won't be able to get the most out of that situation or experience. So I did the same. I had that particular mindset and learned
Yeah.
the most out of it, and that helped me a lot. After completing that hackathon, we worked on a project and we ended up winning that hackathon surprisingly. And I personally never thought about the same, just
Yeah.
winning, going and winning for the first time.
Hmm.
But that particular experience, the entire hackathon culture, changed my entire perspective with respect to hackathons and being a hacker. And after that, I never looked back and
Yeah.
started attending various hackathons in my
Absolutely.
reach. So that was all about my
Definitely.
case.
Yeah.
And Shiva, on
Yeah.
on top
And
of
I feel
that,
that, of course, you cannot have. Yeah.
sure, sure,
No,
go
yeah,
ahead.
I was just saying that, it's understandable that you might not be able to have one of these different qualities at the first time.
Yeah.
Initially you will try to, become more empathetic towards problem solving. And then, of course, that, as that you very wonderfully crafted that, as a hacker, you are interacting with all of these other people, speaking to them, building those networks as well. That is part of the hacker mindset as well. Like, part of what it really takes to be a true hacker. So
Correct.
those things will come with time, right? That the more you experience these things, right, the more you're able to develop that hacker mindset. So it's just being open to new experiences and taking in all those new learnings that you have.
Absolutely, and that is like a very valid point. Learning out of your experience is a great point. You can do that anytime, anywhere. So just keep that thing in mind, and note it down
Yeah,
somewhere. And also,
absolutely.
apart from being a hacker, starting with your hackathon journey, or just showcasing your hacker journey everywhere, until so far, what was that memory of your? What is that one thing which makes you proud being a hacker? What is that one thing out of many?
So I wouldn't say that there has been one such moment for me. There have been multiple moments, right? But
Correct.
probably the most ones that I felt really wonderful to be a part of was basically one of these hackathons where we basically built a braille board, right? Which was, and we actually took it to. So basically, it was a very simple project that we had created this Arduino structure where it had, like, a few buttons, and these buttons were sort of mapped to the braille language, and being able to actually use them and try them out with people from students from a visually impaired school, and them really enjoying to actually use it. That is where I felt that those are the experiences where I used technology, I used the creativity, I used that urge, or that inner urge to actually make something more accessible for everyone. And that is truly, I felt empowered as a hacker. And those students enjoying it, right, being able to use that very small piece, because our idea was that we wanted to make a very scalable and a small braille board, because usually braille boards are very large in nature, right? So being able to make a smaller scalable product, and then, of course, like, being able to win hackathons based on that idea was a secondary thing, right? But testing it out and seeing that the results coming to people actually loving it, right? The or like the people for whom we have targeted this actually using it and loving it, that was the most empowering feeling for me. And I have had those empowering moments as such with other hackathons as well. But these are the experiences which truly make you feel really proud to be a hacker, because you are changing the world right around you, and as you very rightly said that you are wanting to bring a true impact in the world. So
Yeah.
these are the experiences that truly make you feel empowered as a hacker. So I mean, that was my experience, as the way in which I felt empowered. And trust me, like I had a lot more, but this is probably the most satisfying for myself.
Yeah, definitely. It's like that's one of the greatest point one hacker a hacker can feel, feeling empowered to solve the shared problems of our
Yeah,
society, and it feels so good that people are
yeah,
feeling better with the help of our solution and our skill set. We are using our skill set in the very right
yeah,
direction so that we can help others at the same time. So that is really very like that creates a feeling of being empowered, and that is really very important. And personally, I'm also proud of such
yeah,
situations. And also, like talking about me,
yeah,
when I started, I was the apart from whatever you said, like that is for sure. I also feel that it really becomes important for a hacker to have that open mindset and grabbing those all small and
yeah.
big opportunities, because I personally have considered
Absolutely.
and taken many such opportunities into my checklist. And being a part of the
Yeah,
hackathon, I have personally felt this thing that any type of hacker, maybe beginner, intermediate, or advanced, can take most out of it in number of ways. And for me, that particular
mm-hmm.
moment is very proud when I'm able to grab all those opportunities, when I'm
Yeah,
able to feel that I've done something good
hmm.
by participating in this hackathon. I have invested my time, I have used that in a very constructive manner. I have checked all those check boxes, like for example learning new things, or making some projects, or collaborating with others, and different stuffs all together. So these are like few moments for me as of
Yeah,
now. And also, like, was there
yeah.
was there any?
And
Sure, go ahead.
yeah, so I mean, as you spoke about, learning new things, and I would say like one thing that I probably missed out on was that as hacker mentality, right? If you want to have that kind of a mentality, again, the idea is that you have to go through a very classical trial and error phase, right? So
Yeah.
trial and error learning, that you have to have that confidence to actually try out new things, right? And
Hmm.
that is what makes, and one I mean, probably I can bring it on later, but one thing that truly defines and is so empowering as a hacker is that you get that chance to actually try out new things.
Hmm.
Probably if you're like a programmer working on tight deadlines, you don't
Hmm.
have a lot of scope, because you have to follow a certain set of guidelines and you have
Hmm.
that targets to meet and deadlines to meet. But as a hacker, you have all the time in the world to try out new things, and the correct mindset is trial and error learning, that
Correct.
you try out new things, you make certain mistakes, but and you learn from that mistakes. And that is again one major point that differentiates, let's say, people who are working in regular jobs, right? You might not have that much amount of leverage to try out new things because of the tight deadlines and all. So
Yeah.
like, think of your hacker journey as an early tech startup, right? Early tech startup company
Hmm.
where you have the liberty to try out new things, and usually these companies, they are wanting to create very innovative solutions. So
Hmm.
that is again like one other point that differentiates. And again, I love, because I tried out new technologies. I was never into augmented reality, but I actually ended up participating in a hackathon and trying out augmented reality, and I really loved it.
Awesome.
So again, like, you have that kind of a leverage to use during a hackathon.
Yeah, that's a great point. You come out of your comfort zone, learn various technologies overnight, and work around that as well. And that
Yeah,
will eventually, help you become better version of yourself. That is why I always say that when you start participating in a hackathon,
yeah,
after the hackathon ends, you will definitely feel the change in yourself, and that is so valid. And also,
yeah,
like Shivay, uh,
absolutely.
has it been like, for example, when you participated in the hackathon, or you started and continued participating, was there any shift or change in your mindset? Was the way you were thinking before changed in any way? with respect to technology, with respect to problems around yourself? What was it?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I've already covered that, initially when I had started out, at the hackathon, I, I was pretty much unclear on what exactly are you supposed to do, right? Because I was a complete newbie, to be honest, right?
Yeah.
I just had heard that these are like competitions that are, and that personally, I like that caused a lot of, scare. Like I was really scared, to be honest. Like I was literally, I still remember that during my first ever hackathon, seeing all those people, my hands are shaking. That everyone, and I was able to hear everyone that, hey, I'm creating this, I'm deploying my product, and again, like almost half of those terms I had never heard. So
Yeah.
like during that time, my mentality was somewhat like, hey, let's just get this thing done, right? We
Correct.
should be able to at least finish off our product without really looking at the integrities and details. And that is something that, as I participated in more hackathons, the first thing that I understood was that, hey, you don't need to build an entire product, right? You just need to build an MVP that is able to showcase what you truly want to deliver, right? And
Yep.
again, the things that I've mentioned right now, that being more proactive in terms of what are you trying to solve, interacting with the right kind of people to make sure that whatever you build does have some meaning, right? To be able to truly understand the problem statement is very important. Like that ideation phase that we usually compare to hackathons, as a hacker mindset, you need to have that cleared out and sorted out. And of course, then, having that trial and error learning phase, that the more you try, again, even if you're bound to have a failure, quickly get over it, right? You
Yep.
don't have to time, you don't have the time to actually waste in trying to, recover from it, right? You have to be ad hoc, you have to be very fast in whatever you do, right? You cannot waste time in pondering over. You probably, after the hackathon, you can go over like what went wrong, but you have to come out of that zone and just move forward and keep on working towards it, and while at the same time a having a fun learning experience as well, right? So those were the things that I grew upon. Like those are the things that I started to think about, and as I participated in more hackathons, those are things that gradually made me who I was participating in a hackathon. I was just not looking at hey, will I be able to complete this project in time? I just wanted to focus on what I was building, and learning new things, interacting with my teammates, networking, right? Taking guidance from mentors, and just reliving that overall experience, and trying to at the same time have that mindset that, hey, like whatever I'm building, it is for a good cause, and
Yeah.
I just want to build it and get it done, right? That was the mindset that I developed over time, as compared to just coming as a rookie and just like thinking about an idea and just straight
Yeah.
away just starting to build it. So those were the improvements that I felt I made myself during hackathon, but in general in life as well. My you could say like my mindset towards life in general also did change in quite a number of ways in by just experiencing these things that happened at hackathons.
Correct. Yeah, like those were like very valid points, and I can correlate with that at the same time as well, because well said, learn from your failures, come out of that as soon as possible,
Yeah,
take most out of it, and that's very essential for a hacker to understand. And having such a type of mindset will definitely help you get to some another level. So that's like super awesome.
yeah,
Also, like on, like you talked about some failures and other stuffs, adding to top of that, what were your challenges which you faced while in this journey of being a hacker and participating in the hackathon? Apart from failing, what were other challenges? We would love to know that, because the audience who will be watching this, maybe first time hackers, they might have attended 10 to 50, 20 hackathons, or maybe some more hackathons at
yeah,
the same time as well. So everyone faces some kind of
yeah.
challenges while participating or while getting involved in a hackathon. So what are your challenges as of now?
Yeah, sure. So see, for me, it was not a very rose-laden journey. That I one day I just wanted to take part in hackathon. I ended up taking part. I started my hackathon journey in my sixth semester, right? And so I was pretty late. And for me, it was like, during my second year, I had got to know, okay, like what exactly is a hackathon. I wanted to take part, but then, there were a couple of things. One was my self-doubt about myself, about my skills. And that grew upon because I asked a couple of my friends, like, hey, can I be a part of your hackathon team? I don't really know what exactly is a hackathon, but I wanted to take part. But I was, straight away said no to my face. And that somewhere caused a self-doubt in me. I
Mm-hmm.
was, feeling that, hey, like, am I not worth? And like, what exactly is, such thing about this hackathon that, is not, like, people are just saying that you're not worth. So there were, like, I did go through that phase during my second year where, and I'll be very honest about it, right? Everyone does go through such kind of phases. And I particularly had those kind of phases during my second year, particularly where I did, have those phases where I had self-doubt. And but or what the thing that I really get inspired from is that I didn't let that self-doubt really take my mentality or my morale down. I just, focused on doing double the amount of learning that I was already doing, right? I worked on my skills. I started learning more into web development and just, upskilling myself. And uh, that then transitioned finally into, participating in a hackathon. And of course, right, that initially I didn't try, but I really enjoyed the first ever hackathon that I was part in. And over time, that challenge that I had, right, those kind of doubts that I had regarding hackathons, those just vanished away in the first couple
Mm-hmm.
of experiences for me. And since then, I didn't really have any challenge as such, apart from, like, let's say, not getting selected for a couple of hackathons.
Mm-hmm.
The first one being like Hack the North, which is probably one of the most difficult hackathons to actually get into, which is organized in University of Waterloo. So not being able to get selected for those were, I mean, you could say challenges, but for me, it was probably before the hackathon journey started where
Hmm.
I did, struggle. But after having participated in my first ever hackathon, winning that hackathon, just it was like, so you can think of it like a tsunami wave, right? That
Yeah.
everything was calm, but then that my first experience was just like a tsunami wave, and it just ushered me to, just be more motivated. And
Mm-hmm.
again, like, the transition was that those same people, right, those same
Hmm.
people in my second year who didn't encourage me, they discouraged me. They said that, hey, like, Shiva, would you like to be a part of my hackathon team? So
Hmm.
that was something that was really empowering, right? So yeah, I mean, like, I would say that it was not a rose journey, but then I, because of the motivation from a few of my close friends, and then just, working on my skills, I let that change into a successful path for me. And having given the ability to have that mindset of hacker. So that was my journey.
Yeah, definitely. That's
And again,
great.
like, probably the
Uh-huh.
most empowering thing was that, yeah,
Go on, go on.
and probably the most empowering thing after that was that, as I told you, like, I just that my first ever hackathon experience, I didn't let go that out of me, right?
Hmm.
Immediately after that, I didn't leave any chance at all of participating, of, being part of those communities, right? And that was something that I just wanted to stick with, and that led to a lot of growth for me. So yeah, uh, just wanted to get that also. Yeah.
Great, great piece of motivation. Even I am inspired right now because one needs to understand whenever you are participating, there will be such situation where you will feel demotivated, or people will let you down in some or the other way. And this is the time where you need to be strong and
Yeah.
face those situations, because you are the person who will know your worth at its best, right? For example, if I'm not able to do some task right now, it's not compulsion that I'll not be able to do the same task in near future, right? So that is the entire mindset we are talking about
Yeah.
right here. As you might have already heard, Shivay said that you know he faced those challenges, he faced the criticism at the same time, but he overcome out of that. He faced the situation, learned new skills, developed his skills, created his mindset, be positive in such situation, and then we can all overcome such
Yeah.
situation at the same time. And this is something very crucial one needs to understand. Even even when I started, there was some situations where I used to feel left out somewhere, that no, I'm not that much capable enough to be in such an audience, or people might think for me in some or the other way, which is not good. But lately I realized this thing that everyone have different stories, everyone have different journeys, and one will definitely come up with their hard work, with their dedication, and that is what I maintained over the years.
Yeah,
And I kept on doing what I was doing without listening what others criticized, and that is what you can do at your best. When you
yeah.
ignore all such things entering your ears, you can definitely come and shine out there. So definitely keep those things in mind. And I can see one more question in the chat right now from
Yeah.
Shubham. It's like, did you ever feel overwhelming at initial days, like seeing others projects? So what is your perspective, Shivay?
Yeah, see, like as I told you that in my first ever hackathon, I had that syndrome, right? And like it's completely normal to have that, right? That is probably another part of the challenge that I didn't really speak about, because at hackathons you might feel you might feel low or you
Hmm.
might feel overwhelmed by looking at other people's projects, right? And
Yep.
again, it's understandable, but because people are coming in with varying level of experiences. There are people who are joining in, they are like literally school students and they're joining in for the first time, or
Hmm.
there are professionals having 10 years of experience. So it's completely like, and even I personally did feel that imposter syndrome creep into me from time to time during my initial days, right? uh like that was even true when I was in my college, and I was like taking part in these coding classes, right, where I was seeing that I started out with these people and they are already 3 star, 4 star on code chef, and I have just started out and I'm struggling even with the basic questions. So
Hmm.
those kind of thoughts do creep in, but you have to actually fight them off, right? And as a hacker,
Correct.
again, like as a hacker mindset, you have to fight those off, right? You cannot let them overcome your true your true sense at what you have come to a hackathon. That is to enjoy, learn, and build new things. And my general suggestion as like how to basically overcome the imposter syndrome or like these kind of thoughts is just to embrace that yes, you are probably not at that level as these people are, but with the right kind of motivation you can reach there, right? It will take time, so patience is the key, and you just have to self assure yourself with that, right, with that
Yep.
feeling. And of course like if you are having that mindset, positive mindset, again, in due amount of time, probably in the next 1 month, if not 1 month, 1 year, you will be at that same level and you'll be able to actually probably grow. So you have to take away those negative thoughts from your mind, keep yourself motivated, and that's the way you can challenge those feelings if they sort of creep into you. And again, the idea is, hey, like go and interact with those people and learn from them, instead of despising that, hey, like they're doing so much better than me. At a
Yeah.
hackathon you can reach out to anyone, right? Because community is such way. So if you want to learn that, hey, like, hey, could you guide me, like, oh, you made a really awesome project, and
Yep.
use that as a learning journey, right? Use that as a way, if you're interested in doing what they're doing, and if you're like, let's say, interested in a particular technology, just go and talk to them, right? That is a good way to also learn. So that is what I did, and I was able to uh, dispose of those thoughts. Again, like they still do tend to come up at times, but again, you have to be mentally strong enough to resist those thoughts.
Definitely, these are like great points. I personally feel the same way because it's really essential for a person to understand that other people in a hackathon are not only your competitors; they are at the same time your community members from whom you can learn something new. At the same time, if the situation permits, you can also teach them. It's not essential, that they are just one way communication. There must be a dialogue between you and the other community members over there, and taking most out of it is really essential. And
Yeah.
also, for all the people watching us live, do let us know what were some of your challenges which you might have faced while participating in any hackathon, and we would love to know that, and answer our perspective around that at the same time. So Shivai, on top of that, after facing every challenges and everything else, how did your entire journey of being a hacker, took a rise? What were different opportunities which were which were very great for you? What were those winning moments? We already know you have won like around 20 plus hackathons, and that's like huge. And I am, a very big fan of yours. So please let others know as well at the same time. How was that uh,
Thank you so much.
graph
Yeah.
going up?
Yeah. So initially, in my initial days, at least in my first couple of hackathons, I, I participated and I actually ended up winning. But the I would say the breakthrough moment for me, right? The breakthrough moment for finding the perfect, skills for me, and I would say, and I attribute, and a special kudos to those people who I met, from whom I got to know a hell number of things, right? Like I got to know about open source. I got to know about other hackathon opportunities. I got to know about tools of code. I got to know about international conferences, and that was probably what I feel the most lucky moment for me. And this actually it did happen during Hack in the North, which
Mm-hmm.
is North India's and probably India's one of the most respected student-run hackathons.
Yep.
And the kind of people who are out there, from my common team and from my friends' teams, two-time Google Soft Code students, one like having done internships at Microsoft. I had never, to be honest, heard about those things coming from a tier 3 college. Like from my college, at least by the time I had started out in third year, a few of my seniors were in like Amazon and all, but again never had those kind of experiences. So those are experiences, and when I got to know about all these different opportunities, so special shout out to Udeshya Singh, Shikhar, like these are a couple of my very close friends who really got told me about what exactly is open source. They told me about international hackathons, right? Because I didn't know at that point of time a lot about international hackathons, and what that led to me was that within, so this was like end of March, right? And within like since then to then you fast forward to let's say 4 or 5 months. So from April, May, June, July, August, right? In this phase, I participated in a lot of different, national level great hackathons. Like one of them actually being AngelHack hackathon at Delhi. So I got to know about that. I ended up going all the way to MIT, right? Just for HackMIT. I got to know that hey, like these are international level hackathons, and I filled it out. I filled out a bunch of other hackathons, right? And that just took my career from right, let's say 50% to 100%, right? So I do attribute, and again, that is probably the best experience that you can have is getting to have those right kind of people around you, right? And it is only through
So
these
true.
experiences. At college, you're surrounded by the same group of people, right? And
Yeah.
there's more chance that at your college people might be a bit more despiteful of you, right? But at these hackathons, everyone is having a common mindset. Everyone is positively working towards these hackathon projects. So they have a better mindset as compared to other people, right? So getting along with those people is the most important thing. Staying connected with them, helping them, like they helping you out to know about all these opportunities, and that is what like I cannot thank them enough to actually tell me about all these different experiences. So I feel that was the time where my career graph, at least in hackathons or in general, just took off. Because after having those experiences, literally every job interview I gave, my my interview was not really about my DS algo, but it was more about my hackathon experiences. So
Nice.
that like just started everything started falling in place for me after those experiences.
Wow, see, I'm again, super motivated by hearing that. And these stories really helps a beginner to, get motivated because
Yeah,
when one start participating in a hackathon, there might not be a situation they can even imagine that one can end up doing all of these stuffs. But it's all about, continuing what you are doing, believing in yourself, and just going with the flow, participating, giving your best shot, grabbing all those opportunities, and that really helps a lot.
yeah,
And see, hearing your story makes me feel motivated at the same time. It's like almost around 2 years I've participated in the hackathons. I've like been participating, but listening to such stories again and again, makes me to do more and more of such stuffs. And thanks a lot, Shivay, for sharing those things. And one point I would like to highlight over here is having a right group of people around you. That really helps a lot. Personally,
very important.
I you know,
Very, very important.
it took me some time to find those right people, but now when I can see surrounded, when I see myself surrounded with people like you, like Aditya, like, you know, any other community leaders right over here in the community, I personally feel that no, there are some people who are ready to back me up in my worst situation. And having those rightful people around you is really very important, who can just support you in your down times and never questions you that
Yeah.
why did you do this and some such stuffs, right? So definitely you can, you know, have such people around you which can, who can help you in such situation, and that really helps a lot. And adding to that,
Yeah. So
uh
the idea is to just go out there and
yep,
interact with, yeah. Yeah, so the idea is just to go out there and interact with as many number of people, because you are spending your 24-36 hours. Try to make the most of it by learning new things and do interacting with a lot of people, because trust me,
yep,
like I learned about things in just one day that I get to didn't get to have a chance to learn in my initial 2.5 years of college. So
correct,
one day changed my life. That is how I look at it. That one single day at Hack in the North, that completely paved the rest of my career where I stand today. Right, I am sitting over here, being able to speak to all of you. That single one day is what I define to be a very warm and welcome change for myself. Yeah, so like it can be like that just one tip of motivation from someone which can bring about a huge change in your life. So it's those experiences that you gain at a hackathon, or when you having that kind of a mindset, right? Yeah. So
so true. That one moment line was absolutely, you know, I can't agree more on that, because it's all about one moment of yours when you realize that this is something which you can do, this is something which you have, you know, which you feel inspired about, and that one moment can definitely change your entire mindset.
yeah,
That is why I always say that when you participate in a hackathon, you'll definitely become better version of yourself, and these are all the points which justifies this particular statement.
yeah,
And I can see few questions in the chat. So one of them is
absolutely.
asked by Kunal. It's like, how has this
Yeah.
virtual scenario affected the feel of a hackathons, and how can we as a beginner make best use of this time during a hackathon?
Yeah, sure. So, see, at virtual hackathons, one thing that differentiates, of course, you cannot go ahead and meet new people, but the idea is that virtual hackathons have made hackathons a lot more inclusive for everyone. Initially, like people, yeah, if you're taking part in, let's say, international level hackathons, or let's say even national level hackathons, and if you don't have the means, because not everyone has the means to actually travel to another country or travel to another state in India to be to actually able to take part. So virtual hackathons in a way have brought the entire world a lot more closer. Now you can take part in a hackathon that would have normally held in Europe or US, taking part in that virtually, and getting your connections not just in your local college or your local environment, but also being able to actually expand your networks across countries, across continents, right? So that is probably one of the biggest positive experiences that I feel. Of course, you are not getting to have those all those amazing swags and food that people usually attribute hackathons to. But at the same time, you get a lot more amount of time to build things that really matter. Although I would say communication can be a little more trickier, right? Because you're not like literally standing next to your friend and helping them out. But you do get more time to from the comfort of your home to work on things, and of course like mentor interactions, all these they take through the virtual platforms. But the biggest positive, the thing that I take is that it has brought the hacking community a lot more closer, and not just the local hacking community but the global hacking community in general.
Yeah, definitely. That's so true. And you know, adding to top of that, just by participating in a hackathons will give you those things which you might not have ever thought about. You know, for example, when you are studying in your college groups or some campus clubs, there are various things which comes up when you are just working on some project. There are various errors which comes up. But when you're becoming a part of any hackathon community or maybe hacker community in general, you get to connected with so many people that those errors are just piece of a error for a while only. You just post down your error, search online, interact with others, and the problem is solved in like no time. So that is like a bonus point. And in virtual, it has helped us to connect with more like-minded people across the globe, and that is like so a
Yeah,
great way of virtual hackathons, I would say. And also at the end, like
yeah,
I do not have any other further points to discuss, but we'll take more questions from the live. Meanwhile, there are any tips and tricks
sure.
for any hacker? I know we have talked about various tips and tricks in the entire stream today, but what is that one
Yeah.
go-to thing which you will definitely recommend every hacker out there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, like, it's actually very difficult to me to name that one particular thing, because I have, like, 10 different things that I can probably give as an example. But I would say that one thing that truly did help me was always keeping yourself open
Hmm.
to new learnings. That is the only thing that I can says will help you out in every each and every different time. Whether it's that you're learning a new technology stack, you're learning how to include a new API, you're learning about a new business skill, right? You're learning about, let's say, about how to pitch, right? Having that learning ability, that open mindedness to new experiences, that is probably the best thing that you can do. And learning from that and actually implementing it, right? So that is the one thing that has always worked out for me, right? So I
Definitely.
would say that is the number one go-to thing, is just learn, experiment, and try it out. Just go ahead and do that.
Yeah, and also adding to top of that, learn, build, and share what you are making. So sharing is caring. Do that at the same time as well.
Yeah,
And also, we have one more question over here in the chat, that how did you get the opportunities to travel through hackathon? That is something which many hackers might have faced in during in-person hackathons. Traveling was one of the thing which was a headache for many, because there are hackathons happening like at very far places, and traveling expenses are like
yeah.
quite a bit to worry about, right? So what were your case scenarios in the same?
Sure, absolutely. So see, some hackathons, they straight away give you, travel reimbursements. So do look out for those hackathons. There are a lot of different ones that will give you, so I mean, for me also, like HackInTheNorth, the ISC hackathon, they sponsor the entire trip, like the train tickets or flight tickets, right? Some hackathons, they will give you partial ones, right? So in a couple of ones, I paid a couple of somewhat of the amount for traveling, but rest of us, reimbursed. Sometimes the idea is that, again, like, if your college is cooperative enough, like for me, my college, they had this thing that, hey, I mean, we'll not pay you initially, like we'll not grant travel reimbursement for you, but if you do ended up winning the hackathon, we'll pay you the same amount of, as like a prize money that you actually win. So some colleges, like, I'll not name those, but basically they do encourage their students to go, and they actually give them the right kind of support. And I truly get that, a lot of the other colleges might not be doing that. They might actually discourage you from going at all. So try to be part of those hacker communities, right? So one of my friends who actually did travel to HackMIT, right? So he went in 2018, and he was part of coding ninjas, right? So he had support from there. He actually got support from there, and he actually ended up going to MIT based on that, right? So having access to those communities, which can probably help you out in those ways. But at times, if like nothing out is working, like nothing else is working, then yes, I mean, in those scenarios, you might have to put it on yourself. But for me, majority of the times, it was the travel reimbursements that were being given, support from the college as well. And again, like, I was also part of a couple of different societies that actually did help me out in, not if not directly in like the reimbursement, but in other ways, right? So again, that is, you can only get that when you have the right kind of community, being part of those communities, and being surrounded by those people. So don't get discouraged, and I would say take the most out of right now, because as I told you, like, virtually, uh, literally every hackathon that is taking place, which you might have only dreamt of, because of the lack of accessibility going over there. So take the time right now, apply to as many hackathons, international hackathons as well, because everything is being virtually happening, and they are open to people from other countries as well. So just take this time, and again, like the more you grow your community, you'll find those people who are willing to support your ventures and willing to support you.
So true. These were like great points,
Yeah,
For anyone thinking of not getting the enough support, I would say, first of all, if that's the case, try to, make yourself into something that people can rely on, maybe, or which to whom like people can trust, because at the very beginning it was same story,
yeah,
people were not able to give me enough support because they were unaware about what I am supposed to do, what is my mindset. And unless and until you won't show people that what you are up to, what you can do, and what are your capabilities, there will be a situation that people might not, understand you at the same time. But there will definitely come a time where you will prove yourself right in front of everyone. And at that moment of time, you can seek for good opportunities and support as well at the same time. And as Shiva said,
absolutely.
be a part of such
Yeah,
communities, be a part of such an environment where people are ready to support you and not criticizing and pulling you down at the same time. So this is one thing which you can keep in mind
yeah,
anytime, everywhere, in general. This is a go to tip for every hackers out there. And
yeah.
I can't see any more questions coming from the chat. In case there are, please